Okay, hi guys. This is a new tutorial, brand new thing we're going to start today from scratch. Don't know how many videos are going to be, but we're going to kind of break it up into different sections. And this is kind of like, none of this is premeditated. We're in Ableton and we're going to make like a house track. And I'm starting now. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what synth's going to use. So it's all very exciting. And hopefully this will like sort of help people out who are trying to, you know, make house songs, or it might help you with sort of some fresh ideas on how to do your drums, or I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully you'll learn something. So right, we're in Ableton, stock startup, new track. This is all my samples down here. I've got quite a lot that I've collected over time. Some really good free ones from Music Radar. If you go on musicradar.com, there's like thousands and thousands, about 33,000 samples I think. They're all split up. You've got like vocal samples and drums and everything you can think of. So they're very useful. Some of them aren't brilliant, some of them are very good. I mean, we've got some that I like to use for sort of, you know, little effects and things. We've got retro video game samples. Depends whether you're into your 8-bit sort of stuff. So they're quite fun to use in-house. But right, first things first, we're going to set the tempo. I'm going to go for, I reckon, 130. So kind of, house can be 128, 127, 135 if you want to go a bit faster, but 130 seems to be a stock tempo. So I think for this tutorial we're going to start with the drums. So down here I've got X-First samples, which are fantastic. Obviously very well suited to house music, coming from deadmau5. Lots of great kicks. I mean, you know, if you've got a sample library of kicks, it is just personal preference, what you like. I generally like to go for a kick that's got a little bit of snap at the top and also a decent amount of bass, but not too much sort of sub. My favourite is kick 17 with X-First. I can't help but go to it for pretty much every track. Right, so let's pull this out a little bit so we can see what we're working with. There we go. So we're looking at 16th views at the moment. Drag that straight in, control and click drag, stick it forward to the floor. If you shift click, select everything, control click again, shift click, select everything, control click again. Just a really quick way of doing sort of your beat. I'm going to start with an 8-bar loop and sort of put a bit of variation in and see how things sound from there. So you can set your loop points up here, switch on loop, and obviously that will just keep going. Just turn the volume down on my mic input a little bit there, because that was a little bit boomy, a bit loud. Okay, so if you hit tab on Ableton, that switches you between your kind of mixer view and your sequencer view. So straight away I'm just going to bring the volume of that down a bit, because we're not going to be pushing all of our channels to 0 dB. That would be stupid. So there we go, that's cool. What I might do at this stage, really early on before anything, is just go up to the live devices up here, audio effects, and we'll go to EQ8, and we'll just drag one on there. Have a couple of these. We'll stick one kind of dipping down a little bit. No, sorry, popping up a little bit around about 100 hertz, 90 to 100. Turn the Q up a little bit so it's more of a notch. Just have a bit of a listen without. It's kind of like you just move that notch around until you can hear a difference in the sort of kick, in the boominess. So there's about 97 hertz, so there's quite a nice without. So that adds like quite a nice little, a bit of extra oomph to it. Also, we're going to stick a low pass filter on that, just to get rid of the low sub end, so there's no sort of muddiness right down where there might be any sort of sub harmonics or anything like that. I mean, house music doesn't have a lot of sub bass, not heavy like dubstep, but there's a bit there if you're dialing in some sort of low tones. So we'll go auto filter, I always forget which one's which, but cut and move L, stick that on there, and it's not L, is it? It's cut and move H, but no problems. Click that one. Yep, that's right. We don't want LFO, S and H, sample and hold, so just take all of that off. Take the quantized beat off and bring the Q down so we're not boosting, and pull that down to about, I reckon about 60 hertz there maybe. Let's have a listen. Probably not going to be that noticeable, but there we go. So we've got a bit of a boost there, possibly notch up a little bit in the top end, give it a bit more snap. Listen. So yeah, around about 6K there, 5-6K, or 3K even. Sorry, around about 3K, 5 to 6 dB gain. Quite a small Q. Just adds a little bit more snap to the top. Just got distracted by my phone there. So there we go. Right, we'll leave that now for the kick drum, and let's look at some percussion. So we're going to want sort of like hats, shakers, things like that, just to, you know, the high end of the beat. Go back to samples. It's hard to steer away from Xfer, to be honest, because there are some brilliant loops and things like that in there. If we go to, I'm going to try and use as little loop in as possible, because obviously not everyone's going to have exactly the same loop files as me. So let's have a loop at these analog. Quite nice sort of closed hats and percussion. So you've got 5 there, that's quite nice, just drag that out. It's quite nice as well. Might not use all these, but that's a nice little ding sort of sound. They're sort of quite closed, sort of, you know, low release time, so they're really snappy little percussion sounds. If we look for something a little bit more open, these are all a little bit too analog for my taste. With the open hats, I generally like something a little bit more real sounding. So they're quite nice. That's quite a nice one. So we've got 4 little hat sounds there to start with. Let's play around with those. So I'm just literally clicking up here, pulling down on the mouse just to zoom in rather. So there's the first couple of bars here, and let's see. So mute off those for now. So what have we got on this one? That's just one little hat. By the way, I'd never use like drum machines or anything like that. I know a lot of people might be saying, well, why are you just using individual samples? Why don't you pop them all into like a, you know, a drum rack or something and just use MIDI to trigger them off? Because I just hate it. I like the ability to be able to manipulate each audio track and be able to add effects to each one, EQ and compress each one. I know you can route, and I know there's different things you can do. I just really like the simplicity of, there's your wave file. You can do what you want with it now. You can glitch it up, you can cut it up, you know, do repeats on it and stuff. So what we're going to do is just copy and paste some instances of this. So there's 16ths. So let's just copy paste. That's going to be quite a simple one. We'll just stick that across the whole pattern. There we go. I think that's a bit too much. Okay, take that down in volume. Obviously a bit too much there. Sounds about right. Right, next bit of percussion. Maybe we'll stick that on the beat, that one. So it's going to follow every kick drum. So every downbeat, we've got this one little hit. Just zoom that out again. It is useful knowing the little tricks and tips of sort of zooming in and out to, you know, copy and paste your stuff about. So that almost adds, turn that down again, adds like a little percussive element on top of the kick drum, almost like a little snap to the kick almost. Okay, maybe we'll pan that just slightly and that just slightly as well. Right. Sometimes I like to leave the loop running, but obviously it's hard to hear the talking at the same time. So we've got another element here, which is, now that sounds like more of an offbeat sort of sound. Some of these sounds you can kind of hear in your head almost before you've put the pattern down. So yeah, I reckon maybe every 2 bars for that one. Obviously you don't want to repeat the elements a lot because they'll get very repetitive. I mean, the beats in house are repetitive anyway, so you want to add a little bit of variety in so that you're not hearing the same little hits and the same little clicks every other bar or every bar, because your ears will just get sick of them. But I think so there's a nice little gap, and again turn it down. That's not too bad. Finally, we've got this open hat sound. Wow, that's very loud. Let's turn that right down, give that a bit of pan as well, and we'll pan the other one a little bit. I think we'll stick that on off beats. So there we go, we'll just copy paste that so that's on the off beats. Delete that. Just drag that across just to neaten it up a bit. Okay, so if we play all that together, turn that open hat down. Get rid of that MIDI channel for now, it's annoying me. Okay, so now we've got our kick drum, we've got a bit of high percussion. I'm not going to go into mixing stuff so early on. I mean, we'll be doing things like high passing these and sort of EQing and making sure that we're completely freeing up the low end for the kick, the snare, and any sort of like bass elements that we're going to put in. So we'll make sure that the right instruments are occupying the right frequency ranges. So now we've done that, I think I'm going to save that. So we've got saying saved. Let us save that as tutorial house tune. Okay, right, now let's see claps. I mean, yeah, get Xfer if you've got the spare cash, it's brilliant. If not, you're going to find similar claps and hat sounds and kick sounds in a variety of different sample packs. You know, you could use analog VST drum machines, you could use whatever you want, just, you know, this is more sort of in terms of like the sequencing, the rhythms and things like that. A lot of it can be applied. So we're going to get claps. I mean, are there any other claps I can use? I've got some prime loop stuff. I've got generic clap folder. That's quite nice. I think that sample's a little bit late though. Let's have a look. You want quite a nice crispy clap, I think, for sort of house music. You don't want anything too boxy, a la dubstep. So let's open that sample up and have a look. You can see, yeah, it's a little bit ahead, We don't want it warped either. So what we'll do is just move the start point of the sample there, right on the transient at the beginning. Pull that across. And okay, turn that down again. Maybe pan it just slightly. Yeah, it's quite a nice clap. Fits in quite well. So we stick that obviously on every second and fourth beat of the bar. Scroll up again. Copy that again. And let's have a listen to that. Okay. So that's not too bad. How long have we been going for now? Estimate time. Wow, 16 minutes already and we haven't really done anything. Okay, I think I'm going to go to about 20 minutes for this tutorial, so we'll split it up into 20-minute little segments. I mean, to make a full track, we might end up having, like, you know, maybe 15 videos or something, but it'll be cool. Okay, so we've got this little beat. I'll probably put in some more percussion on that, I think, just to make it a bit more interesting. Obviously, when we get to the sequencing stage of arranging the track, you're going to build up, especially a progressive house, you're going to sort of add elements in as they go. But I think it's quite a good idea to get a full loop going that has perhaps everything that you're going to have once your track is built up. And then it's easier to take elements away and then, you know, structure your build up without them. So instead of saying, all right, I'm going to start with a kick and a little hi-hat, and then I'm going to add this, and then, oh, I need to add something else. What am I going to add? I don't know, I'll do this. You kind of make the full sound, and then you just, you know, take things away. I find that an easier method anyway than trying to build up as you build up, as it were. So, let's have a look at some of these little loops we've got here. Quite nice. It's got some nice sort of lower percussion-y sort of stuff in it. Almost some like sort of Latin-y sort of Congo type stuff. Obviously good old Ableton will just stretch that to the right tempo. Although the tempo should be pretty close on anyway. Let's take the volume down because that'd be too high. Don't worry if you clip on the master. I always clip my shit on the master pretty much until I come down to mixing. Unfortunately, my headphones don't go very loud when I'm doing sort of producing on them, so I have to have everything bumped up. But that sounds quite cool. That's not a bad little. I mean, we've got no compression or anything working on anything there. Obviously, these samples are probably pre-compressed, pre-mastered, a lot of them. So if you're using the right samples, then you don't really need to worry about compression that much. So now we've got kind of quite a nice loop going. It's only using 7 tracks, so that's pretty cool. What we'll do, which I never do ever, I might try and get in the habit of it, especially for doing things like tutorials, is actually naming tracks. So let's actually bother to do that, shall we? That's our kick. What have we got? That's kind of like our 16th closed hats. So we'll go CL hats. That's like an extra hat, so I'll just call that extra hat. What's this one? This is our little kind of bit crushed blip. So I'm going to call that bit blip. That's sort of our openy hat. So just see OH. That's our clap. can Control R on these. I don't know why I'm not doing that. Control R. And this is our loop. Or we'll call it perk loop, just so we know what it is. So, sounds like we're going to be making a kind of a Latin-y sort of house tune. Maybe we'll put some prog elements in it and play down the sort of Latin percussion loop as we get further in, but who knows. Right, that's 20 minutes. I think I'm going to call it there just for this little part of the song. I'm not going to be doing any work on this apart from when I'm recording tutorials, so it's going to be a straight series of, you know, picking up where we left off. And hopefully I'll do the next one as soon as I get another 20 minutes spare, and they'll be quite regular, and hopefully you'll learn stuff from it. So check out the links that have got kind of Facebook and stuff on it. I do dubstep and I do house and electro and all sorts of random music stuff, and I've got SoundCloud and Twitter and everything that everyone in the world has got on the internet. So I'll put all the links to that. If you can check all that stuff out, again, that would be great. Also, I'm on Boy in the Band forum, great website for like learning stuff, brilliant tutorials, great people, great place to go and learn new techniques and new listen to new tunes and listen to work in progresses by other up and coming producers. So yeah, check all that out, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.